Are we ready? Okay, well then let's go ahead and call the Johnson City Council meeting number 24-01 to order. Cindy, roll call, please.
Councilmember Cope,
Here.
Evans,
Here.
Martin,
Here.
Ready,
Here.
Burkhart.
Here.
I want to welcome everyone that is in the audience this evening. If you are here for an item that is on the agenda, we would ask you to wait for that item to come up and address the council at that time. If you're here for an item that is not on the agenda, you will have an opportunity under public communications to address the council. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. And to the extent that we are going to haze Jacob tonight, Jacob, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the agenda approval. Mike, do we have any changes to the agenda?
No amendments to this evening.
Council, any changes? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is public communications. We have one scheduled public communication this evening, and that is a proclamation proclaiming April 7th through the 13th, 2024 as National Library Week in Johnston, Iowa. And do we have anybody here that has attended for this proclamation? Well, why don't you all come forward? Oh, I think this is the biggest turnout we've ever had for a proclamation. Well, first of all, thank you for all being here this evening. This is an incredible turnout. And also, thank you for the jobs that you do at our city library. You know, we have one of the most amazing city libraries anywhere. I believe that, and so do the residents in this community. I mean, I hear from them all the time about, you know, what a great library that we have. You know, the services they get, the resources that are there. You know, they just think it's an absolutely amazing place. And obviously, it wouldn't be the amazing place that it is if it wasn't for all of you. So thank you so much for what you do every day for the residents of this community. So I'm going to read this proclamation. Should I turn around this way? Would it be better for the video? I'm going to read this proclamation, and then I'm going to ask, Molly, are you speaking for the group? Okay. If you could just make a few comments, make sure that we know who all is here. And I mean, we know why they're here now. They're here for the proclamation. But if you could just kind of give us an introduction of all of them, that would be great. Okay, the proclamation. National Library Week, April 7th through 13th, 2024. Whereas libraries offer the opportunity for everyone to connect with others, learn new skills, and pursue their passions, no matter where they are on life's journey. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted institutions, striving to ensure equitable access to information and services for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or social economic status. And whereas libraries adapt to the ever-changing needs of their communities, developing and expanding collections, programs, and services that are as diverse as the populations they serve. And whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that promote a sense of local connection, advancing understanding, civic engagement, and shared community goals. And whereas libraries play a pivotal role in economic development by providing resources and support for job seekers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses, thus contributing to the local prosperity and growth. And whereas libraries make choices that are good for the environment and make sense economically, creating thriving communities for a better tomorrow. And whereas libraries are treasured institutions that preserve our collective heritage and knowledge, safeguarding both physical and digital resources for present and future generations. And whereas libraries are an essential public good and fundamental institutions in democratic societies, working to improve society, protect the right to education and literacy, and promote the free exchange of information and ideas for all. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Paula Dierenfeld, proclaim National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th, 2024. During this week, I encourage all residents to visit not all at the same time. I encourage all residents to visit their library and celebrate the adventures and opportunities they unlock for us every day. Ready, set, library. Very nice proclamation. So Molly, do you want to just share with us?
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm the interim library director. We've got a lot of different people here. We've got a library board trustee, Kelly's here. We've got a handful of library volunteers. We've got Roger, we've got Marla, and then we have, and I don't know the names of all of our Let's Talk library volunteers. Do you guys want to raise your hands, or Peg, do you want to introduce them? We have Peg Rasmussen here, and we have, on Monday nights, we have a conversation group that Peg leads, and we thought it'd be really neat to bring them here today too. So I'll let Peg introduce them.
Yes, so we have one of our students, Lighty, is right here. All right, and then we have a new student who showed up tonight and came along with us. So his name is Haran. Yes. So and he is with his brother Omar and a friend Eve. And so anyway, that's what's accessible about the library is they can come, and we just invited him to join and ride along. So I also have volunteers, Cindy Hickman. She volunteers on Monday nights. Let's see, where am I going over here? I have Marty. She volunteers on Monday nights as well. I have others that rotate. And then Bev is another one of my volunteers, as well as Elaine. So we're really, I couldn't do this program without them.
Well, that's really incredible. And that again kind of underscores, we have staff there. We have full-time staff, we have part-time staff, but we couldn't do it without the volunteers. And so thank you for, committing your time and your talents to the Johnston Library so that all of our residents can benefit from your skills. So thank you so much. Now with that, does anybody else want to say anything? Want to make sure that I don't see any hands raising. So, sure. You have one brave soul.
One brave soul. I'm a visitor from Cambridge, Massachusetts, and love my library in Cambridge, Mass. But I'm here with my host son, Umar, and his brother, Aruna. And we did the library thing in the Grimes Library, and we looked up and we found that there was this volunteer opportunity for Cambridge, for a conversation group, and here we are. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Welcome to Johnston, and thank you for kind of jumping in and helping us out. Really appreciate that. So, okay, I think it's picture time. And I would invite the council down. Picture.
Here, Matt, I got you.
We'll sneak behind. We're gonna sneak, just sneak. Otherwise, no, you're fine. We'll just
Better chair.
I was way ahead of you. Roger Wilson. I see you on the map a lot. My color thing. Kelly McAllister. I know you listen. We're a little bit. I would like to talk to you. I don't.
Let it out. We can all fit.
Well, more from the standpoint of they were worried about how many people would be here, but clearly this is not the basketball going or interested group.
Oh, I see, I see. I wonder who's still at the library.
It's not the same thing.
There's no books remaining. Well, it's tied at half, so there you go.
It's tied?
45
Ooh.
all.
Oh, I know. You see here, do you know how long we've been sitting?
So we are still under public communications. Is there anyone here that would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to public hearings, and we have two public hearings this evening. The first is to conduct a public hearing and consider approval of the first reading of ordinance number 1115, amending section 181.04, tree protection and conservation of the Johnson zoning code, PZ case 24-04. And we'll open this public hearing at 7:13. Clayton.
Good evening. During the approval of the Men's Garden Club site plan for the Bank Iowa Starbucks site, we determined there was what we believe was a discrepancy in our zoning code related to tree protection. Specifically, one of the criteria for removal allowed for both prohibited and temporarily restricted trees to be removed without council approval. And staff believes the intent was, when we wrote that, was actually that prohibited trees could be removed. Temporary restricted was just we didn't want new ones planted. So this amendment is simply just adding the word prohibited at the beginning of that criteria to clarify that prohibited trees can be removed without approval. Temporarily restricted would still need to either fall under one of the other criteria or require city council approval for. And with that, Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed this and has recommended approval. And this also was before the tree board, and I kind of took that in backwards order. Tree board recommended it go to Planning and Zoning Commission. They reviewed that and have recommended approval. Happy to go further detail, answer questions as needed.
Council have any questions for Clayton?
So Clayton, I'm just looking at this. What does the current language say? Because all I see in the ordinance, the new proposed language. So what, can you pull up so we can get sort of a, what it replaces?
Literally, we're just adding the word prohibited in front of this number 8, which I have up here on the screen.
Oh, okay. So it just said trees that are listed on the city's prohibited and
Temporarily restricted tree and shrub list. So by adding the word prohibited at the beginning, we're clarifying that it applies to prohibited trees on that list.
Then why do you still have the temporary restricted tree and shrub list? Why not just say trees that are listed on the city's prohibited tree list?
We can, but it's a combined list. It's a singular document.
Okay. So it's a singular list, but but the list distinguishes between those that are prohibited.
Yeah, there's separate tables within the overall document.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I should have included that list for you.
No, this discussion helps to clarify.
We can certainly limit it down to just prohibited tree list, but in the end, I think it accomplishes the exact same
Okay,
thing.
that's fine, that's fine.
Other questions for Clayton? This is a public hearing, public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing at 7:15. Do we have a motion to approve first reading of ordinance number 1115?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Ready,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 4B, conduct a public hearing on the proposal to sell 9401 Northwest 70th Avenue pursuant to a sealed bidding process and consider approval of resolution number 24-87, approving and authorizing the sale of 9401 Northwest 70th Avenue pursuant to a sealed bidding process and pursuant to the terms and conditions of a proposed purchase agreement, and consider approval of resolution 24-90, approving and authorizing execution of a consent to assignment and assumption of real estate purchase agreement between Nancy Joe Brown and Site and Structure LLC. And we'll open this public hearing at 7:16.
Good job, Mayor. That was a tongue twister.
It certainly was.
Council, good evening. While you consider this, we thought it'd be appropriate to give you a bit of an overview of the process of the sale of this property. My understanding, this is possibly the first piece of real property that the city may be selling, that we have not unloaded a piece of real estate before in the past. So this was an opportunity open to the public. In December, the council approved staff moving forward and advertising the property. Council determined that it was excess real property, and staff took notable efforts to make sure it was a fair opportunity to the public. The first thing we did is we established a fair market value by having an appraisal done. This is not only fair to the city, but the taxpayers. In the appraisal, and as-is condition was $250,000. That was set as the minimum requirement bid throughout the process. The city posted a public notice of intent to sell the property and request for sealed bids on February 14th. We held that opportunity open for 35 days. Sealed bids were accepted until March 19th, 3 p.m. here at City Hall. And again, there was a number of conditions within the posting that we were required that bidders would have to comply with to be considered a responsible bidder. We took notable efforts to market the opportunity. Our communications department and economic development worked together on creating some social media opportunities, an opportunity for information on our website. And we collaborated also with JEDCO, who has a number of relationships with real estate professionals and financial professionals in the community, and they helped get the word out about the bidding opportunity. We held 2 public open houses at the site for potential bidders. This gave folks an opportunity to get up close and personal with the property and get any questions answered by city staff that we're able to answer. And then, of course, city staff also proactively shared information with their contacts here in the community with folks who may be interested interested in the property. During the 35-day period, we had 14 parties reach out to us who are interested in the property in some capacity. Many of them were inquiring about eligible uses of the site and what they could do with it. Multiple staff departments provided support in responding to these inquiries. Communications, our Public Works Department, and our Planning Department. As a result of the 14 inquiries, we had 1 sealed bid received that did meet all the qualifications of the bidding requirements. Mrs. Nancy Brown submitted a bid for $250,100, and she had fully adhered to the conditions set forth in the public notice to be considered the highest and responsible bidder. Tonight, the council is considering the sale of this property. And of course, if I can answer any questions, I am here.
Does the council have any questions for Josh?
Josh, this is zoned R1, but it was a greenhouse. Do you know what Nancy Brown is thinking about using the property for?
The Browns have expressed that, they want to share their plans with the site. What I can say is it is zoned confirmed R1 100, which is a residential use. The property does have a continuous special use permit for a greenhouse business. That was approved by City Council in 1990, and that carries with the property. So if the Browns do consider that use, that would be an allowable and permitted.
That would be the only commercial business that could be on the site would be a greenhouse
Yes, correct.
facility, whatever goes along with it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm looking back to Clayton.
Yeah.
We've been through this a number of times. We had a number of inquiries. Some folks were concerned, well, could a gas station go here? No, convenience store is not permitted on that site. So just I wouldn't even say neighborhood commercial, just a greenhouse business would be the only business allowed on that site, unless there was further consideration by the council.
Other questions for Josh?
Mayor, then I'll just, as you consider the second resolution, if there's no questions, the second resolution is pertaining to Mrs. Nancy Jo Brown would like to assign all of her rights within the purchase agreement to one of her LLCs known as Site and Structure LLC. So as you consider, if you pass the first resolution, the second resolution is just assigning her rights to one of her LLCs, which is permissible within the purchase agreement. Everything has been reviewed by legal counsel and staff is recommending approval.
Any other questions for Josh, council? This is a public hearing on this item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing at 7:22. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 2487?
So moved.
Second.
A motion, a second, discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Reddy,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 24-90?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Reddy.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Reddy,
Yes.
Burkhart.
Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to the non-consent agenda. Item 7A, consider approval of the second reading of ordinance number 1114, an official zoning map amendment for .67 acres from CD to C3. The subject property is located along the southern end of Pitch Parkway and adjoining Centurion Park. Clayton.
No updates and no public comments have been received since first reading.
Any questions for Clayton?
Clayton, would it be appropriate, I guess what the other way to say this is, would staff have any concerns with if second reading is approved, waiving third reading and adopting and publishing?
I don't have any concerns with that. I will note that we do have a site plan under review that is on schedule to be in front of you on April 15th, so your next meeting. So I don't know if it really makes a significant difference. It's really at your discretion.
One less item on the council meeting.
Hmm?
It is one less item to have,
Yeah, it's one less item you could have on your next council, so
probably won't take a lot of.
I don't have any concern if you want to waive third reading.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 1114?
I move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Reddy,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope.
Yes.
Motion passed. Do we have an additional motion?
I'd like to make a motion to waive third reading of ordinance 1114 and to adopt and publish.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Reddy,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7B, consider approval of resolution number 24-89, approving the site plan for United Contractors Addition at 6678 Northwest 62nd Avenue, PZ case 24-09.
So this was brought on by United Contractors. It is located at 678 Northwest 62nd Avenue. The current site plan improvements were approved in March of 2018. It is currently zoned E1 Office Employment District, and it meets all of those bulk requirements. As of right now, there are 7 trees that exceed that 6-inch caliper. 5 of them are proposed to be preserved. 2 of them are proposed to be removed to support the installation of the 2-story addition. Solve open space requirements at 57%. For the south buffer that we see kind of here, they're proposing giving us 7 overstory trees and 7 understory trees to plant in the city park just to the south, in lieu of that traditional buffer that you would have on that south side there. It meets all parking requirements, and then the only other thing to point out would be staff just recommends that they get I'm blanking on the word right now, an easement agreement with the school district for their water main to make sure that if the school ever decided to not use it, that they could stop access for fire protection. Go into any further detail or discussion as needed.
Council have any questions?
Mayor, I do. Daniel?
Jacob.
I'm sorry. I don't know where Daniel came from. So tell me a little bit more about the alternate landscape that is being planted south of this property?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, so
So are they going to be donating the trees to the park, and the park, our park people are going to install them, or they're going to install what we tell them we want there? How's that going to work?
My look at Clayton on this one a little bit. My understanding is that they're going to donate those to the city park here to the south and plant them in this. This is our understanding of this general vicinity here as kind of an addition to the park itself. I don't know if
I would concur. I don't, in hindsight, I don't think we got into the specifics of who would do the planting. My presumption would be that the trees would be donated to the city park staff would do the planting. That way we know they're planted to our standards since it's on our property. But they would then donate the tree, so it's they're responsible for the material costs associated with it.
Did they give you any idea of what size? And I know you and I have had discussions about arborvitaes do not count as trees. So have they given you any idea about size? Because I'm assuming that we'd want the evergreens to, do a little screening. That possibly is what
They'd have to meet our minimum buffer landscaping requirements, which if I'm going from memory, evergreen plantings require a minimum 5-foot height, and understory trees, 1.25 caliper, overstory 1.5-inch caliper.
And those trees are all that's required for this site plan to be up to our ordinance.
They are proposing as part of the alternative to provide additional trees in lieu of shrubs.
Right.
So there would not be the shrubs, but they would just give us additional.
Great.
That would satisfy the buffer. And really the primary reason for the location is there's a 30-foot sanitary sewer easement on that south property line. So if they planted them where they were supposed to be, it'd be in an area at risk of having them get removed in the future for service to the utility. By pushing them to the south, it puts them at less risk.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions for Jacob?
I do. So first of all, Jacob, welcome. Excited to have you. I think you're going to love working for the city of Johnson. We have an outstanding planning department, and you'll be a great addition to it. So really excited to have you. Couple questions about architecture. So lots of times when we get a site plan, we also have elevations with it. I
Yeah.
don't see any in the site plan and in materials that were in the staff report.
It's attached, it should be attached. No, they're not. My fault. It does meet all of those, the facade requirements, and I can,
Well, because I was reading through the architecture, and so it talks about, obviously, you have to have 50% Class A materials, up to 50% Class B, and no more than 15%. And then it goes on to talk about the types of materials, but doesn't break it out what percentage are Class A. Just says brick, metal architectural panels, and burnished block building materials. So it's unclear to me which of those are considered Class A, which would be considered Class B. And to be fair to you, I certainly could have gone through these materials before the meeting and asked you to submit it, so that's on me as well, so.
no, that's my fault. I thought I put it on there. It's my fault.
No, you're good.
From, if I'm remembering off of memory, it meets the burnished block would be considered a Class B and the brick would be considered Class A. And it was, I think, if I remember correctly, like burnished block was about 40-ish%, and that brick was above that 50%. So
Okay.
there was only, I would say, maybe around 5%, give or take, of that Class C.
And what is the elevation sort of facing 62nd Avenue?
North side, so it would be this section right here for
Okay.
it.
And then can you just scroll up a little bit to see what the other elevations?
Their facade is more east facing towards the school district.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where more of the windows are. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
No.
Any other questions for Jacob? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 24-89?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Reddy,
Yes.
Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Motion passed. Item 7C, consider approval of claims in the amount of $445,063.52.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Cindy, vote please.
Councilmember Burkhart,
Yes.
Cope,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Reddy.
Yes.
Motion passed. The other two items on the agenda, the city administrator staff comments and the city council comments, we've already covered under the work session. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Nobody has anything else to do tonight, do you?
Hawks are up by 6. Did I say that out loud? Sorry.
Are they really?
If
Probably
not, we
just
are
jinxed
adjourned.
this completely.
Thanks, everyone.
I have a hard time to say this, but good luck, Hawks.